If you took BUSN 1100, which is Introduction to Keyboarding, you probably remember all of the different rules for when numbers should be words or when numbers should be digits in documents or even just plain sentences. I have included in our Blackboard course two handouts that will explain the rules or give you the rules for when numbers should be words and when numbers should be digits. But your textbook includes those same rules, and if it doesn't matter which one you go to use it, but you need to know these number formatting rules. They will help you avoid points being deducted from documents. On page 2-96 in lesson 44 in your textbook, at the bottom of the page there is a section called number expression, and there are 8 sentences there that do include numbers in the sentences. Sometimes there are several numbers in a sentence, but those are not correct. The instructions in the left margin say to review the number expression section of Appendix C in your book, and the appendices in your book are in the back of the book, and on page REF for reference 13 there is a section on number expression. There are 10 rules there that will explain to you when numbers should be digits and when numbers should be words, depending on how they're used. The second step in this instruction say key the numbered list at the right, single-spaced, correct any number expression errors as you key, and then save and close it. Now, whether you are assigned this particular section of page 2-96 doesn't matter. You still need to know the number format rules. One way or the other, you're going to use them all the way through this course, and I want to make sure that you feel comfortable with them, or at least know where you can go to get the rules so you can pull them up and look at them to see if you've done the correct format for that particular sentence. Now, I'm going to go to the lessons area, the lessons important area of our course, and I'm going to come down here to the BUSN 1100 handouts and materials, which are also important to your success in BUSN 1440. Here are capitalization rules, how to figure your typing speed, hyphens and dashes. Aha! When numbers should be typed as digits, when numbers should be typed as words. 2 handouts that can be extremely helpful to you. Let's open up the words handout first. Now, number formatting rules. When numbers should be written out as words, they are the first word in a sentence because sentences start with capital letters. Duh. That's a 2nd grade rule. Numbers should be words if they are 10 or less. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. These are the numbers that you should write out as words in a sentence. However, there is an exception to this rule. The exception says if the number is part of a series, then it should be a digit. Now, a series is defined as a list of 3 or more numbers in the same sentence that are referring to the same type of item. For example, look at your second example down here. She paid 14 brick masons, 9 concrete workers, and 3 carpenters last Friday. 3 numbers in the same sentence. They're all talking about or referring to the same type of thing. In this case, workers, carpenters, brick masons, and concrete workers. They're all the same type of thing. So these 3 numbers can be considered a series. And when you have a series of numbers in a sentence, all of them are going to be digits. Now 9 and 3 are 10 or less, and they would normally be written out as words, but this is a series and they should be digits. Alright, third rule for when numbers should be words. The smallest in value of 2 adjacent numbers should be a word. Adjacent means right next to each other. So my sister painted 3 8-feet tall murals. 3 is next to 8. You take the smallest in value of those 2 numbers and you change it to a word. A number should be a word if it is an isolated fraction. An isolated fraction is just the fraction. It's just 2/3 or 1/2 or 1/4. If you have a fraction in a sentence it should be written out as words with a hyphen between the two words. Now, comparing isolated fractions to mixed fractions, a mixed fraction has a whole number. Instead of just 2/3, it would be 5 2/3. So if you don't have that whole number in front of the fraction, you have an isolated fraction. Numbers should be words when they are used in a sentence or phrase as approximate numbers, about, almost, nearly. If you have 5 balls or 5 cars in your driveway, you have 5 cars in your driveway. If your child has 5 balls in their toy box, they have 5 balls exactly. But you can still have approximate numbers. It just depends on the words around the number. So here in the example, it says so many schools are overcrowded that nearly 15 states are changing to double sessions. The word nearly makes 15 approximate. And if you have an approximate number in a sentence, then you need to spell it out as a word. 15 is more than 10, so it would normally be digits, but you have the word nearly here, which makes it approximate, so it should be spelled out as a word. The next rule for when numbers should be words: round numbers. Round numbers have zeros in them. If the round number can be expressed as 2 words, if you can write that number down and it's 2 words, if you can speak that number and you speak it as 2 words, then you should spell out the number. So 50,000 bricks fell off the dump truck. 50,000 is the number. It has zeros in it. And in this particular case, it is spelled out as 2 words, so it should be words. If 100,000 bricks fell off the dump truck, that's going to be digits because it's 3 words. 100,000. That's 3 words. So those should be digits in that case. If it's 2 words and has zeros in it, and this is 100 or more, because 10 is a round number. 30 is a round number because it has zeros. But we're talking about any number that's 100 or higher that's a round number. The last rule for when numbers should be words is number 7, and if the number is used in front of the word o'clock, then it should be a word. So if you have a sentence that says we will leave campus at 2 o'clock, if the words o'clock are used in the sentence, then the number in front of the words o'clock should be a word. Alright, that's when numbers should be words. Let's go back and find the digits rules. When numbers should be typed as digits. Okay, the same type of document, it's just these are the digit rules. Numbers should be written as digits when they are preceded by a noun. Okay, preceded. If a noun comes before the number, preceded means comes before. If the noun comes before the number, room 209, chapter 7, building 4. If the noun comes before the number, doesn't matter what the number is, the number should be digits. House numbers should be numbers, unless your house number is number 1. So the first example here is I grew up at 4267 Palm Springs Drive. That's the house number in digits. But my best friend lived at 1 Washington Road. If your house number is 1, then it should be a word. House numbers are generally digits, though. Numbers should be written as digits when they are street names. And then in parentheses it says if the house number and the street name are both digits, separate them with a dash. So the dentist office is 309 14th Street in Atlanta. The house number, the street name, their numbers, they're right next to each other. Separate them with a dash. Numbers should be digits when you're talking about money, even if it's approximate money. Money should be digits. My 17-year-old son made nearly $22,000 last year. Digits, because it's money. And it's still approximate. It says nearly, but it needs to be digits because it's money. When the lottery is at $1,500, hardly anybody plays. Money, digits. Numbers should be digits when they are percentages, even if it's approximate percentages. Almost 33% of the schedule. When extremely cold weather sets in, 25% go home or go to work late. Example, this is a different one. Look at there, there's a percent and there's a word. And the reason for that is because this is the first word in the sentence, starts with a capital letter, so it has to be a word, even though it's percentages. That's an exception. 50% of my advisees are in medical transcription. The last rule for when numbers should be digits, if the number is a round number and the millions are higher. Because how many, like right off the top of your head, can you tell me how many zeros are in the word zillion? No. You'd have to figure it out, write it down, check it, make sure, scratch them out, and then go look it up. So any number in the millions or higher should be digits, but you use the word for the amount of zeros. So 339 billion, you would have a 3, and a 9 as digits, but the word billion that represents all the zeros would be the word billion. Don't get confused by all the zeros. You don't have to count them and remember them. You just use the word instead. So, the example here, when the lottery gets to $100 million, almost everybody plays. 100 is in digits, but the word that represents the zeros is spelled out. Don't use the zeros. Alright, remember those rules. At least remember where they are, either in Blackboard or in the back of your book on page reference 13, and use and apply them so you won't have errors counted off for numbers that are not formatted correctly.